Hello boys and girls, it's part 2 of our 25 NL Russian Cash GG review with Mr. Moneylob, our third victim of the series, so we're going to jump straight back into our second part. Didn't have too many interesting spots in the first part. Part 2 here, we've flopped top pair in a multi-way pot. I think we're primarily check calling. I don't like check raising multi-way with this weaker kicker. And I think this would be an easy check call depending on situation, yeah. I think versus third, I'm trying to think if I ever raise versus this size. I think with a hand is like, I don't want to say weak, but just like with a hand, like with no kicker like Queen 3, it's hard to get value from worse, apart from like specifically draws or King Jack. And I think villain can still easily have plenty of better hands. I think I'd probably mainly be check calling. Maybe once in a full moon, you might make a raise sometimes versus this size just to eke some more value from 8-9, King Jack or heart combos. But I think I'd probably mainly be calling. Raising and getting 3-bet by a massive combo draw would be utter awful. That'd be awful. I like the river check. Let's see what villain's checking back. I'm assuming we win. Is that a chop, is it? Queen 4, okie dokie. Easy fold with the 9-4. I'm really hoping we open these sixes if it folds to us. I don't want to see a limp. Come on, let's open this. Put some pressure on these bastards. Nice. See, opening just makes so much more sense, I think, than limping. Don't let them realise they're going to check back loads and then it's just going to be awful. It's going to be hard to play. Take this down. Nice. Easy. Easy folds with the 9-7. And the King 6 off. And the King 7 off. And the Jack Deuce and 9 Deuce. Come on, let's see if we can get some hands. We've got about 10 minutes left of the footage, so hopefully we can get some shenanigans. Queen 5 suited. Did we fold on the button? Sorry, this guy's fast. Let's have a look. Yeah, I'd definitely be opening Queen 5 suited. Yeah, I wouldn't have. So again, like with fast folding, a hand that's just a very good open, I wouldn't have folded this. You could have even opened Queen 5 on the cutoff. I'd be mainly calling, I think, table 2. Again, like a hand like Ace 8 suited, Ace 9 suited, Ace 10 suited, I like flatting more than a hand like sort of Ace 4, Ace 3, Ace 5 that you could potentially do some more 3-betting with, I suppose. So we flop the guttable and the backdoor flush draw. I think we're always checking this. So versus villain check back. Again, like I don't know. I'm just going to go with the assumption that I think that most villains are capped when they check back, especially on these textures. I think he would value bet ace king. I think he would value bet king queen. And then he's primarily checking hands like queens, queen jack, queen 10, 9s, 8s, something like that. Or maybe like ace 10. Yeah, maybe ace jack. Maybe Jack 9. Like, I think he's capped. Like, I don't think he's going to fold to a turn probe, but I think I would absolutely, like, with a lot of hands, I would be considering turn into river barreling with a lot of hand combos to really put pressure. So as played, I think we can go a couple of different avenues with a hand like this. So we've got the nut flush draw. We've got the nut straight gut shot, which is decent. We could probably lead here. I think you could probably lead relatively big. I think if I was going to bet, I'd bet big, potentially overbet, larger overbet, or check raise, or check call. I think you could probably do everything. I think exploitatively, I would probably either check and then decide whether I want to check call or check raise versus villain's size. Also, just expecting to get another check back and get to showdown very cheaply with a hand that would like to realize. Or if I was going to bet, I'd probably go like 7 and just absolutely just put massive pressure on him immediately. So I'm trying to think which one I would literally prefer to do. No, I think both are fine. I think all options are completely fine in this population. I kind of like just check calling personally, just because I feel like he's just gonna call a raise, isn't he? Or he's gonna have some hands that might want to bet. You know, like maybe he's just got like ace jack that may bet the turn, or he's got like king 7 or spades that might bet the turn, for example. I'd probably primarily be calling, but But raising is absolutely fine. However, if you're raising the turn, I would knock him out on the river. I would sort of over bluff these combos on the river, blocking like the nuts. So because we've check raised and got the call, I would just assume villain's now got hands like King Queen. Villain's now got hands like Queen Jack. Villain's now got like these sort of pair and draw type hands. Villain's best hand here that doesn't bet the flop, that then delayed bets the turn and calls. When we block loads of these flush draw combos, it's tough to say because villain could have combos like Queen 10 of diamonds. Villain could have a hand like King 7 of diamonds. Villain could have a hand like Queen Jack off. Like villain can have lots of mixed and marginal hands. Our hand will not win on showdown and can potentially get bluffed. But I don't know if villain, like we block the nut flush combos, so I think villain's just got some kind of showdown that beats us one way or another. So because we've check raised, I would absolutely go after this guy on the river. I'm trying to think of sizing. Like we're basically saying we've got a set of tens. We're basically saying we've got a set of jacks. We're basically saying we've got King Jack plus. We're basically saying we've got Queen 9. We're basically saying we've got Ace Queen and then some bluffs. And villain's got loads of one pairs here. So I would go anywhere from sort of 80 to pot to overbet. I don't think shoving would make too much sense because I think you just get the job done with an overbet. I'd probably go somewhere between 20 and above. I think personally I'd love like maybe 40. Really, really heavy. So our combo wouldn't necessarily bluff that much because we block a lot of like his folds. Like we want him to have like an ace high with a diamond combo. We want him to have those type of hands, right? We want him to have ace 10 of diamonds, for example, that will fold. We want him to have 10-8 of diamonds. We want him to have like, you know, hands like that. But fuck it, to be honest. I think this guy's capped as hell. I would overbet this. I would go like 40. Just pressure. Like massive pressure. Push him off King 7. Push him off King Queen. Really make him put him in a horrible, horrible decision. If I was playing a higher stake, I would jam this, personally. But I think you could just get the job done with a large size. I just don't want to see half pot. I don't want to see 2/3. I want to see big. I want to see like almost close to pot or overbet. That's what I'd love to see. Put some massive pressure on. So 17's okay. 17 will get the job done versus like Queen Jack. 17 will get the job done versus Ace 10. 17 will get the job done versus 10-8 of diamonds. So it's not like terrible, but it's just, I just think villain's got like to bet the turn and call rather than check back again. I think he's got a lot of these King X one way or another, and I think he's just going to call personally. So we'll find out. You know, maybe it just works. That's fine. But I think against the way the population are playing, this looks like a king, personally. So I would have gone bigger, but fine. If you think he's never folding, okay. But I don't know. We look pretty strong here. And we block ace queen, which is quite nice. By the way, just another thing. If you're targeting a jack or a 10, for example, you don't need to go this big. So you could exploitatively go like maybe a third to fold out queen jack and queen 10, right? Exploitatively, that is. So, but personally, I would have gone big. I would have gone really, really big with this combo. I'm not really theory based on this spot at this stake. I'm more sort of exploitative. He's in the tank, which is really awkward. No, don't call. King deuce of diamonds. Yeah, that kind of makes sense from what we were talking about, right? Villain checks back the flop. He's got some kind of capped marginal showdown. Oh, look, he does. Gets to the turn. He wants to bet because he thinks he's ahead versus check, and then calls raise because he's got added equity with the flush draw. To be fair, you're unfortunate because he did river 2 pair here. You're never going to make this fold. But I think because he tanked for ages, if he had a hand like King 7, King 9, you probably would have got the fold for this size, so fine. I think I would have still gone larger, but again, you probably would have got called by this specific hand, but that's in a vacuum, isn't it? So yeah, I would say this is relatively well played. I like the check on the flop, obviously. I like the check. We can do multiple options on the turn. Check raise is fine. The size was okay. I would have probably gone larger overall on the river, personally. But, you know, it is what it is. I don't think you probably would have got king deuce to fold anyway, so that's fine. Don't fold that ace 4. Keep hovering, it's scaring me. Easy open. Yeah, I think we can fold the queen 9. Again, I would at least be, when you're in the cutoff and the button, at least consider your opponents, though. You can potentially open wider against people who are very, very tight. Tight and passive. I don't mind a squeeze with a queen 10 suited or a call. I think both would have been fine. See what happens. We flop top 2. So, Queen 10 suited. I mean, again, it depends what you want to be. Theoretically, we can't really be folding Queen 10 suited to a 3-bet from the big blind. I think I'd be mostly calling this, potentially 4-betting a very small amount, some of the time. Maybe even a decent amount of the time, actually, off the top of my head. I think Queen 10 does actually 4-bet here a decent amount, but I think the way the population are playing, let's look at this size. So villains 3-bets are a huge size. Like, I would be considering this guy's stats before making any action. I think if he's got quite an aggressive 3-bet, I would be, because of his size, I'd maybe be looking to potentially 4-bet and try and take it down, or just folding versus this size, potentially a bit more exploitative. That's what I'd probably be doing. Table 2 versus this large size. I think just because when people bet multi-way, they're stronger. I think when people bet really big, just in general, especially multi-way, they're also stronger. So I'd be check raising table 2. I wouldn't be doing any sort of call shenanigans. I get it. Well, on this board, we're going to have loads of quite high equity hands. We've got 7s. I don't think we really have 10s a whole bunch. We don't really have queens. We don't have ace queen a whole bunch, but we do have 7s. We do have queen 10. So we do have like king jack of diamonds some of the time. So it's just, we do have quite high equity hands. But I think just looking at it in a vacuum, I would just be check raising table 2. Let's just put some fucking money in. This guy's got a decent hand. Let's go for it. I don't mind the fold against that size. I think again I would have at least considered looking at the villain that's 3-betting you though, potentially before considering a cooler fold or a 4-bet. Sorry, I pause there. So we know that our villain's relatively tight from that. I think he's got what 14% PFR there. Was it that it said? Yeah, I think he's quite tight. He's probably got quite a good hand. Let's raise and get some value. I would have gone maybe a little bit bigger. Actually, no, you got 9-3.5. Yeah, that's okay, I suppose. He's in the tank. Hopefully we can get some action. He does fold, Sag. Easy C-bet table 1. Range would be going about a third, roughly, I would say. I think, again, because this guy's a recreational, I would size up here and I would go like 5.5, like full pot, even potentially overbet. The times this guy has a flush draw, an ace or an 8, he's just not going anywhere. Maybe even just a pair in general. The guy just may not fold anything. So I would just be going big. Theoretically, I love your size. I think exploitatively against a recreational, just bigger. If he's going to call, he's in elastic, right? So if he's going to call 1.8, he'll call 5. Like just get the call and get more. In my opinion, I would have gone bigger. So the 4's a good and a bad card, so it's limiting some of the nut value, but it also does improve villain's range relatively well. I think we're just very polarized here. So theoretically, I suppose it's either check or large bet. I would just only be going large. I'd be going again because he's called. Like I would go 9 here against ace X, against flush draws, against an 8, and if I get raised, I would fold. That's what I would literally do. So big, very big would be nice, as long as we don't go small to medium. Let's get the most. We're polarized here as well. Just put loads of fucking money in. I'd love to see pot or overbet. Like the size. Very nice. Easy open ace jack, table 2. So now, theoretically, we're in a situation where really big is what our range wants to do. I think you could probably do some very small betting, but I think it's more like if you had a hand here like quad aces that would block like the ace X calls. Right, then I don't think you would shove, for example. I don't think you'd go huge because it's really difficult to get called. I think exploitatively, this is a tough one because it's like you only get a chop from an ace, obviously, unless he's got ace 8. You lose to quad 4s. Like, what do you get called by? You can try and get called by an 8. You can try and get called by 9s. You could potentially make villain bluff. So I think I would like to go between 10 and 30% exploitatively. And I would think theoretically you would just go massive here, even up to shove. But again, it's like, I think you would net the most money by betting between 10 and 30%. Get a call from 7s, get a call from an 8, maybe induce a bluff. That's what I would suggest, in my opinion. Easy open with the ace jock. Yeah, I like the size, I suppose. It might be a little bit big but I mean, again, it's like when I say big, I mean like this size might not induce a bluff, but again, we get this size is a nice one if you're targeting an 8 or if you're targeting like pocket 7s or if you're targeting pocket 9s, I suppose. So yeah, actually no, I do actually like this. This is just smidge over 30, isn't it? 918. 27. No, this is literally a third. No, I'm talking out my ass. No, I love this size. This is a third. Perfect. Yeah, I like it. Like it a lot. Sorry, I thought I'm not very good at maths. I don't mind checking or betting table 2. I think I prefer checking with a hand with this much nut showdown. But again, we do block some of the. We also block some of the hands that we want to get called by, like Jack 9, Jack 8, Jack 10 flush draws. But you know, it's fine. I think we can mix in a bet there some of the time. Again, we're fast folding. Stop fast folding the big blind. It's really, really bad because you might just get a walk. Like you may get a walk or a limp from your small blind. Like don't fast fold. I think it's losing your money. This guy's in the tank. Is he debating a bluff? Does he just have like sixes? He's thinking about it. Potential again. It like I would start having some 4-bet bluffs potentially, like king queen and ace jack off. You know, types of hands. Ace jack off, ace queen off, king queen off. Type hands that I might be. Well, I don't want to say 4-bet bluffs technically with like ace queen and stuff, but like I would start considering 4-bets with hands like king queen off, ace jack off, ace queen, etc. in the cutoff versus the button dynamic. I think at 25 NL you are going to encounter a decent amount of players who are 3-betting a bit more correctly and a bit more aggressively in this dynamic. So I would start considering having some 4-bets here. I would look at this guy's stats, see how aggressively he's potentially opening or 3-betting, etc., and then make a decision. I don't see that you're using an RNG unless it's hidden, so I might consider that as an option as well, potentially. So we know this guy's like a kind of taggy reg. By the look of it, it was like a 24-20. That's decent stats and a 6% 3-bet. Not a huge sample. I think I would start mixing some 4-bets though. I think especially in the later positions, you'll probably do quite well having some 4-bets there. I think population will overfold. I think population probably over 3-bet bluff and then fold the 4-bet. So I would consider having some 4-bet bluffs there. Easy fold with 6 deuce. We have the queen ace on table 2. Hopefully we can make some money. Eight six suit. I'm trying to remember if 8-6 suit is an open. I think 7-9 is one of the worst. So I think 8-6 probably is a fold. Again, though, just as a thing, like maybe consider looking at the button and the blinds before pure folding, but. Maybe I'm just a bit of a whale. Maybe I'm opening too many hands for such a high rake structure. So I might actually not be... I may not be correct to open that some of the time. This is an interesting spot. So against a 4x and a call... I don't... Like, we've got these guys tagged as Rex, right? I think white... Because I think you had white as a tag against someone who had less than 100 bigs. So I think we've got this as a recreational. I hope I'm right there. Against a 4x UTG, I know they're a little bit deeper, but... I don't think I would fold, but it's like there's so much dead money. But does someone who opens 4x really fold or have a really crap range? They're probably quite strong, right? I'd probably call here because I don't like the idea of just flatting 4 big blinds in the small blind. I hate that. But I just think our hand is too strong to ever consider folding. I think I would mix this between sometimes squeezing and sometimes just calling. I wouldn't fold to 4x, personally. I don't mind either. I don't think folding is a good idea. I think 3-betting or calling. We do fold. No, I think I would squeeze or call. I think even against 4x, if they're recreational players as well, I think we can do it. At the very least, I would have considered looking at the player that opened. And if he's like, you know, 10, 9, 3, for example, over 300, 400 hands or whatever, fine. You know, maybe his range is really strong and you could potentially overfold. But I would have at least considered checking that, like as in having a look at it. I think I would have squeezed that or called though, personally. But I do not hate folding versus 4x. I understand why you're folding, and I don't condone it. Sorry, don't hate it, but King 3 suited, we can potentially, like, again, like these lower to weaker King X suited from the big blind, I would love to see some raises with these at some frequency. I would love to see a 3-bet or a defend with this combo. And the ace-6, I think if I'm right, I think ace-6 offsuit is always folding. And then there's combos like ace-3, ace-4, ace-5, ace-7, ace-8, etc. 3-bet or fold most of the time, table 2. So yeah, I think we've got fold ace-6 offsuit. Again, potentially look at how often these guys are attacking though, and you could potentially over 3-bet bluff, depending on how your villain's playing. I don't think I like defending ace-6 offsuit. I think I'd prefer 3-betting it. Button on big blind. If I was going to sort of have more calls, I would prefer calling with a hand like ace-5 or ace-4, which technically can make straights, whereas ace-6 is just a little bit like, yeah. I think people are going to open the button and fold to 3-bets a lot, so that's how I would have played it. As played, though, we get here. I think we've got nothing other than a call. I think villain's got a massive advantage in terms of range. We don't have aces, we don't have jacks. We 3-bet ace-jack suited a decent amount of the time. He's going to have more ace-king, he's going to have more ace-queen, blah, 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 blah. Really, he shouldn't be betting small, though. He should be overbetting or check, theoretically, unless he's playing exploitative. I think we just have an easy check on the turn. I suppose we'll see what villain does. I think we're probably never folding, though. Please don't fast fold the 7 deuce, at least wait. So versus 7, yeah, I think we just have another turn call. I think if villain had overbet here, I don't know how to interpret overbets at 25. I think it depends on the player pool that you're against. If he is playing closer to theory, he'd be doing more overbets on flops and turns. But I think there's just too many hands we beat, right? We beat too many, like, I mean, villain, it's on the button, isn't it? Villain could just have anything. He could have 6-8. He could have, like, 3-4 suited. He could have, like, king-10. He could have king-queen. He could have queen-9. He could have anything, right? So I think it's just an easy turn call. I think there's nothing else to say. I don't think I would ever raise. And the only river that improved is I had, like, 3-4. So we'll have to check and see what villain's sizing is and potentially what stats he has. This is a tricky spot if he goes for a big river size. Hoping for a check back. He does check back. Let's have a look. Queen 10. Come on, man. You have to bluff Queen 10, bro. This imagine you got Queen 10 here. That checks back. Bets, checks back, and then he loses to like King 6 of clubs. King 3 of clubs. Like you have to bet that turn. Like, for villain. Like I don't get it. I would mark him as stabbing flop and turn and then giving up way too much on rivers. I would note him. If he had a hand like, you know, King 10, for example, I don't hate his check back at all, but Queen 10 just loses, especially when it unblocks club. You just have to bet, in my opinion. So I'd mark him as a weaker reg and giving up on rivers. 9's interesting situation. You can start considering. I mean, it's a squeeze, isn't it? So you're probably calling slightly more. I think he should have sized up slightly more as well. But I think against that price, I'm always calling. You could potentially have some 4-bets, but I think multi-way. I don't study a lot of multi-way, so I'm not going to pretend I know what I'm talking about because I don't. I think against population, I would call here only. I don't think folding or 4-betting against this price makes any sense or population. You could potentially consider leading for a small size or checking. Again, it depends on the population and how they're playing. They're probably still very value heavy, so checking probably just makes the most sense. Facing check, so I would love to see a small bet or a check. I don't think we're up against 10s or jacks a whole bunch. I think they're mostly 3-bet in this population. Cutoff versus hijack, I would assume. I think we're only losing to... We're not losing to much here. That calls and squeezes the button. I don't think villains have got many 3x. I suppose they've got... Or 8-6, so even though we technically beat that. I don't think villain on the button is checking back 10s or jacks. I think we just have the nuts here unless we're losing to 8s or 6s or like... checked back aces or something like that. I think I would just bet a third. That's personally what I would do. Just look to get some value and a little bit of protection as well. I don't think checking is awful, but I would just prefer to bet myself. Maybe get value from ace-8 suited or king-8 suited or 8-9 suited or 6-7 suited, pocket 5s, pocket 7s, some spade combos, etc, etc. Don't check and allow him to have like ace-king and realize river, I suppose. We're like a call. We're miles ahead of a call. What on earth is this? I have no idea what to do versus this min open. I think we've got this Natsu dude crushed. I think we've just got him dead. This is weird. Like, this looks like slow played aces, 8s that may have checked the flop, or it looks like, I dare say ace-3 suited, because I don't think they squeeze that much, and I don't think they... I mean, they could have ace-3 suited, I suppose. I don't think it's a flush draw. I don't think it's random overs. I don't think it's a bluff. I don't think we... I would fold. I don't know. It's weird because even if we call, this guy calls, we don't know what we're dodging. We don't know what we're ahead of. We don't know what behind. I would probably just fold. I don't know what this is. This is a weird play. I wouldn't turn my hand into a bluff. I wouldn't call. I would just probably fold. If this guy's got ace king, ace queen, he doesn't do this. He does this more with a nutted hand. He does this more with a trap, in my opinion. If he was gonna bluff, he would bluff the flop. I really wouldn't be surprised, sorry, to just see him have 8s full, aces, quad, in some moon, like ace-3 suited, but I'd probably just fold. I don't really know what this villain's doing. I suppose at some frequency, heads up, you can check back, like 10s and jacks and queens, kings and aces, but I think multi-way, they're probably not checking those back, so I think we're just... I don't even know what he has. I have no clue. I just don't like calling. I just feel like we don't know. Like, we just don't know what to do on rivers. If this guy bets river, we don't really know what to do, right? That this guy can just have king X of spades. This guy can have king X of spades. I don't really know what to do. I probably would have just side folded and waited for a better spot. Yeah, I suppose that makes sense. I don't know what these fives are doing. That's pretty atrocious. I would mark that guy. He's a bit of a station. The jacks, yeah, I think it's probably fine. I don't know multi-way if it's good to check or not. I think 9s, 10s, jacks does a lot of betting, and then has like aces and kings do a bit more check, do some more checking overall because they need less protection. Yeah, I probably would have just folded turn because I just don't know what to do on rivers. If this guy got jams or just bets like 40, what do you do? You know, I'd be preemptively thinking about rivers. I don't hate call, but I don't know what we're ahead of or behind of. I just find it a really awkward situation. Again, we're fast folding the big blind. I don't like it. It's a big mistake. Open 10-9 suited. Queen 8. You could have potentially thought about considering the blinds. Like, again, if they're overfolding, or if they're really, really tight, I might consider opening the Queen 8 potentially. And as with the Queen Jack as well, I know they're more marginal opens. I know the rake's high, but I think you could probably use those as opens. I think you could probably make some money. Very small amount, but I think you could probably net money from opening those. If you're directly under the gun and you've got relatively aggressive players behind, fine, pure fold it if you want to, but I think I'd be opening more often without. 10-9 suitable, in theory, mix between a defend and a fold. Mostly mix as a defend or a fold. I think 10-9 does more calling overall, but like 5-6, 6-7, 7-8, 8-9, for example, will mix between call and fold. I think 10-9 is close. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think I just always call because I'm a whale. I wouldn't 3-bet it. I would just be calling or folding. Again, depending on the player, I suppose. Yeah, easy fold with the deuces. Would never 3-bet that. Easy call, I believe, with the 9-10. You could probably raise a very small amount of the time, but primarily calling. We don't have jacks. We don't have queens. We don't have 9s. We don't even have king 10 suited as much. We don't have ace queen. Like, we just was limited. We have king 10, you know, same as villain. I suppose we have 10-8, the same as villain. That's about it, really, isn't it? So, turn jack, you could potentially do a very small amount of betting, but I think checking is also probably fine. Versing small size, call. Nice, easy call. We could also potentially just be dead on this turn, so raising's kind of a yikes. Diamond king. Okay, so we make a wobbly straight, which means we've got it, but the board's paired and there's a flushes out there, so we're not thrilled. Versing bet, well, let's just see what they do first, I suppose, and then we'll figure it out. So versing check. So if we were to bet here, what can we get value from worse with a straight here? If so, what would it be? Do we get called by... if we get called, do we get called by king, queen? Probably not. Do we get called by like aces? Maybe, but that's very, very specific. Do we get called by a jack? I'm trying to think. We lose to... Remember, we also lose to ace. We lose to ace 10. We don't even have the nut straight. We lose to all flushes. We lose to all boats. We don't have a diamond blocker. I would mix between like 20% and check. I'm thinking exploitatively. I just don't know if this hand's strong enough to bet. We have the second straight with flushes and boats out there. I wouldn't be surprised if this just only checks back or potentially bets really, really small, like 10%. I think if I was in this spot because I'm greedy and I know I'm at 25 and probably won't get binned, I'd probably bet like 3 here. But I don't know how often I'd ever really balance that. But I could get behind checking. I could get bet behind betting like 2 or 3. Or maybe even like 1.5, like proper 10% size. I think checking's okay, but 5's a bit big. I don't know. Like, we're trying to get called by ace jack, but that's about it. I probably would have gone slightly smaller or check, but it's fine. I like that at least we're thinking about betting, like rather than snap checking. I like that. 3-bet or call with the king 10 suited. Probably more 3-bets in this rake environment. Just one thing with the size, I'd go slightly bigger personally. Against like the button, I would go like 12. Against the small blind, I'd go like 11, 11.5. It's not the end of the world to go 10, but I think I'd probably go slightly bigger. But then again, you still get raked even if they fold, so there's not as much added incentive. But I think I probably would go slightly bigger. These are the last hands, and then we're done. Again, fast folding the Jack-6, just don't do it. Like, just at least wait for them to come around to you, because it's potentially 1.5 big blinds you're losing out on. So be careful of that. We've done that 4 or 5 times in this session. And we're done. Nicely done, mate. So good job. Overall, I think you played really well. There's a few adjustments potentially to have made, but I think you did pretty good, pretty solid. Not any sort of huge blunders, not any massive errors. A few adjustments to consider with the pool and the opening sizes and the blind on blind. But yeah, generally, I think it was pretty well played overall. So thank you to everyone who's watched both parts, hopefully. Please like, comment, subscribe, all the usual jazz. Link below for GTO Wizard, and also the link to my Twitch and Discord. Please take a look, check those out. And I'm trying to think when I'll be uploading next. It'll either be tomorrow or Saturday, probably Saturday. So see you in the next one.